Okay, so in this lesson, we're going to look at how to factor a trinomial when the a value is not 1, when it's something other than 1. It gets a little bit trickier. I'm going to show you two methods today. If you'll take a minute, set up your notebook, and when you're ready, restart the video. I am going to show you two different methods today. In the end, it will be your choice how you do it. I'm not going to force you to use one way over the other. One way, I'm going to call it splitting the middle term and grouping, or grouping. It kind of all goes together. And the other way is using the box method. So you can kind of think of almost one of them goes with FOIL and one of them goes with how we use the box method to multiply. But we're working backwards now because we're undoing our multiplication. So if you'll notice, the first step in both methods is to make our x and fill it in, just like we've done previously in factoring. So for problem number 1, I want us to go ahead and make an x, and I'm just going to put it in the center since it's going to apply to both methods. Remember, on top we put a times c. So if a is 2, b is 11, c is 15, then that means a times c, 2 times 15, is 30. And then our b value down at the bottom would be 11. And again, we'll fill in our factors just like we always do. Now, because our a value is something other than 1, we have to take into account that a when we factor. So let's first look at splitting the middle term. The second step says take your two factors from your x and replace the middle term. So my middle term right now is 11x. So I'm going to replace 11x. 2x squared we're going to keep. The 11x, we're going to replace it with our factors from the x. Now, since we're replacing it, I'm not going to write just 6. I have to write 6x plus 5x because they have to still represent 11x. And then we're going to write the plus 15 at the end. So all we've done is rewrite it, splitting the middle term into two terms. The third step says to group the terms and pull out the greatest common factor from each pair. So we're going to group the first two terms, and we're going to group the second two terms. And now let's look for a GCF. My GCF among 2x squared and 6x would be 2x. And just like we did before with our binomials, we're going to divide each term by that 2x. And so that leaves me with x plus 3. In my second pair, my greatest common factor is positive 5. Okay, so that's going to leave me with x plus 3. Now, if we've done it correctly, what we end up with in these two spots should be the same. And so that's going to be one of my factors, x plus 3. The other factor is made up of the two GCFs that we pulled out, 2x plus 5. So the factors of this trinomial are x plus 3 and 2x plus 5. Now, if we look at what the box is very similar. We still make our x, but now we're going to fill in our box. So I'm going to make a box that's 2 by 2. In the upper left-hand corner, I'm going to put my a value, that 2x squared, that first term, the leading term. In my bottom right-hand corner, I'm going to put my c value, which was 15. And then just like we split the middle term, we're going to fill in our box with our 6x and our 5x. And it doesn't matter which one you put where. Same thing with splitting the middle term. It doesn't matter which factor you write first. And so now instead of grouping and looking at it that way, you have it in a box. So we still want to look for the GCF on each row and each column. So here my GCF would be x. Here my GCF would be 3. Here we have 2x. And here we have 5. And so you notice we got the same result, x plus 3 and 2x plus 5. The only bad thing about factoring it with the boxes, you can't really double check yourself that you really pulled out the greatest common factor. The only thing we could do at this point would be to multiply those back together to check to see if we got the right answer. But these are our factors. Okay, let's try one more together. We're going to make an x. Remember, we're going to put a times c, which 6 times 35 would be 210. My b value is 31. Now, when I saw 210, I got a little nervous, but the first factors I thought of were 21 and 10, and fortunately, that works. That adds up to 31, so that made it easy. So now let's practice our splitting the middle term. We're going to split up 31x, and we're going to rewrite this trinomial. It doesn't matter whether you put 21 first or 10 first. Notice I'm putting the x with them because it still has to represent 31x. So we rewrote it, splitting the middle term. Now we're going to group the first two, group the second two. My GCF here would be 3x, and we're dividing this out from each term to see what we have left. 2x plus 7. Here my GCF would be positive 5, and so I'm dividing it, so I get 2x plus 7 left. So remember, if we did it right, these should be the same, and that is one of my factors, as well as the 3x plus 5. Okay, so if we're doing the box method, then I would draw my box, 4 by 4 or 2 by 2. Remember, here goes our first term, which is 6x squared. Our c term, our third term, goes in the bottom right. And my factors go in the boxes. And again, it doesn't matter which one you put where, making sure that we put x's on those. And now we're going to look for the GCF from each row, each column. Here it would be 2x. Here it would be positive 7. 3x right here, and 5 right here. So just like we did with the other method, we get the same result. We're going to practice a lot more tomorrow, and as I was working this, I could tell several things that I need to remember to tell you. So be prepared to practice, practice, practice. Try your last problem, and when you're finished completing it, then please complete your video check